Hi, I'm Joni Patry, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Well, today I want to talk about Tiger Woods. He's in the news again. Tiger just cannot quit getting behind the wheel while he's intoxicated. And he should get a driver. Everyone knows it. Everyone's saying it. I think this last time, he's had 4 incidences of car wrecks in this state of mind, and one almost took him out. It was very, very dangerous, and from that, he sustained horrendous injuries that's put him in constant pain. Wow, somebody that we all thought and respected so much in his glory days of when he was the top golfer. And then that nightmare day exploded when the whole world got to see his dirty laundry about how he was cheating on his wife and what he was doing. It had to be pretty devastating for him. I think what's going on is he could be extremely self-destructive because he doesn't get away with it. The whole world gets to see every time he screws up. So I thought it'd be interesting to look at his chart. I've been studying his chart to see all the accidents and what prevailed through his chart. And I want you to know, it was like, I don't want to put up all these charts because it would bore you. I want you to know where I think I see him going. But my students love it. I've been showing them all the different things that I see happening with each and every incident, and it always involved, just so that you know, Mars and Rahu. And during the first incident that happened, he shifted into a new dasha, and it was when he went into, let's see, it was his moon dasha. The dashas in Vedic astrology are our way of predicting the future. It gives the big span of when life changes the most dramatically. Every time you change a dasha, your whole life changes. And the dashas are only part of Vedic sidereal astrology because they're based on the nakshatras. And you've heard me talk about the nakshatras. But let me give you the nuts and bolts about his chart. Let's put his chart up and try to understand what he's all about and where he's headed more than anything. So let me scoot over here and put up the chart I have for Tiger Woods. So Tiger, I mean, you have to know that golf it's a sport of finesse. It is not a sport of brawn or, strength. It's finesse. It has to deal with a certain amount of skill, talent, to be able to ascertain how far a ball will go and what kind of methodology, like how much you have to strike it, what direction. I mean, it takes a real talent and finesse. It's a finesse sport, if I might say. So looking at his chart, very interesting. His ascendant, it's in Virgo. That doesn't just surprise me at all, because Virgo is about detail. Virgo is about precision. Virgo is scrutinizing, critical. That's what you need as a golfer, I would think, to have this focus on detail, to scrutinize things. Now, Mercury rules Virgo, and wherever it goes in the chart speaks volumes about who he is and what he's all about. His chart ruler Mercury goes to his 5th house, and the 5th house is the house that deals with talent, artistic, creative abilities. And Mercury is the planet that rules the intelligence, your mind, to scrutinize, to think about things. And the 5th house is also said to be the house of intelligence. He is a focused, intelligent guy. And his Mercury sits in Capricorn, which is very ambitious and driven. But, you know, his early childhood years were critical to who he is. I don't think that Tiger ever really got to be a kid, because why? His father was constantly pushing him ever since he was a baby, almost like it's kind of reminiscent of thinking about Michael Jackson, the parent that is constantly driving them and disallowing them from having a childhood. So when I go to the second house in astrology, it represents our childhood, where we've come from, who we are, from childhood experiences. And he's got Rahu there. Rahu is very difficult, means your childhood was very difficult. Uranus means it was chaotic. There was crazy things that happened, just, you know, big changes constantly, but he was never allowed to be a child. It was always about the golf. And when you go to the ninth house, which is the house of the father, there's where the action really kicks in. Mars is there. Mars is in the ninth house and it rules the eighth house. Mars rules Aries. Look at the eighth house, it's Aries, and it goes to the ninth house of the father. The father, yes, the father pushed him. You could say his father was why he's so successful in golf. But it was imbalanced. It was too much. Didn't have to push the child to the point where that was all that mattered in his life. And emotionally, he became dysfunctional. And this is probably part of the addictive qualities that he has as well. So Mars being in the ninth house, ruler of the eighth house, and ruler of the third house. The third house is also a house of talent, of using our hands. And that's what golf is. You got to be able to hold the club and hold it right, use the hands. But his father was constantly training him, working with him, everything about golf, nothing but, and always nothing but golf. So what's interesting as well is the planet that actually rules the ninth house is Venus, because Venus rules the ninth house by Taurus being there. Venus rules Taurus. And Venus sits in the third house of training, education, school. Rules the ninth house. His father was his teacher. Goes to the third house of training. But Mars has opposed it and aspecting it. Now his moon is the most critical thing in his chart. His moon sits in Scorpio. 28, almost 29 degrees. It's really closer to 29 degrees than it is 28 degrees. 29 degrees of Scorpio. Gandanta, out of control. Emotionally, that's who he is. A 28, 29 degree moon in Scorpio. Scorpio is the most passionate, intense sign of the zodiac, but being at this degree portion makes it out of control. Furthermore, it's in the nakshatra called Jyesta. And Jyesta deals with jealousy. So many people were jealous of Tiger, probably his competitors and people in the field. And that doesn't sit well when everyone's kind of against you because they're jealous of you. So the moon rules the 11th house. Yes, the 11th house is what? Friends. And it is in Jyesta. His friends were jealous of him. So he didn't have any good friends probably. And on top of that, Neptune sits with the moon, which this can deal a lot with delusions and addictions. But more than anything, whenever I see Neptune can be a very rare, unique talent that people have. It's in the third house dealing with the hands, dealing with this finesse that he had or has in golf. It's just this incredible creative talent he has. Neptune makes it exceptional, unusual off the top. And Venus there, Venus is the ruler of the 9th, which is his father. It goes to the 3rd house of his training. But Venus also rules the 2nd house, which deals with money. This is how he made his money, through his very creative, unusual talent that he had. And it's in the sport of finesse, golf. All right, so those are the most important things. Now, he has Rahu being in the 2nd house, throws his Ketu, which is losses, other worldly things, in his 8th house. The 8th house can deal also with psychology and things of that nature. So there is a depth that he possesses. But this can also deal with loss financially, loss through other people. And, you know, I want to say he's probably lost a lot of money through marriage. And that's what I see with that Ketu in the 8th house of money through other people. Losses of it. But here is what I feel is important. Like I said, I was going through all the different instances of him and his accidents. And each and every time it involved Mars-Rahu, Mars-Rahu. And that represents accidents. But it's also a very difficult aspect. He is so lucky to be alive, but I feel like sometimes he wish he wasn't. That's why he subconsciously is getting in the car and driving. Now, people don't do these kind of things on a conscious level, but he's in pain and he's been humiliated throughout his life with everything, every time he screws up, being put on the news. Now, I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying it is what it is. So, Saturn has been transiting his 7th house. I don't know. I didn't do the research whether he's in a relationship or not right now. But that's tough. That could be a breakup of sorts or loneliness, no connection. But here is what concerns me the very most. Mars. Transiting Mars is in Pisces right now, and it is about to go into his 8th house. Now, this happens every 2 years, so this may not be a big deal, and I hope it's not. But he needs to be more cognizant and careful, especially around the 3rd week of June. I'm looking at around June 17th. Transiting Mars will hit his Ketu in the 8th house. And you see, he is constantly in pain. This can mean surgeries. This can mean difficulty through major surgeries. But the 8th house is very dangerous. Let me put it this way. I think around that time of June 17th, he needs to be careful. His life could be in jeopardy. So if he ever hears this video, he needs to lay low, take care of himself. He needs to get the help he needs. And what does that mean? It means digging down to the core and the bottom of things, which I think this all relates back to childhood experiences that were very difficult, and probably he doesn't even know what they are, but it involved his dad and never ever being able to be a child. That's damaging. Being forced to grow up too fast is not healthy. And I think this is like the core and essence of something deep within him. And he needs to do a lot of soul searching, which I'm sure he is. And Mars going through the 8th house could mean a psychological dig deep to figure out what's causing these behaviors that are sabotaging him and his career and his whole life. So, Mars crossing over Ketu is dangerous, and he needs to be aware of this, and this could be getting deep psychological help, because the 8th house does deal with psychology, okay? But for the most part, his body, it's difficult. It could just mean he's going through more surgeries. I want the best for everyone, and I want him to come through and use this time as a time of healing emotionally and spiritually. And as Mars crosses Ketu, hopefully he can have a revelation. But here's another thing I was noticing. Saturn is aspecting his sun, and that is this entire month of May, and then again in the fall. And as Saturn's aspecting the sun, he's losing his life force, his energy, and it's a very difficult year for him. Saturn's on and off aspecting the sun, and Mars will oppose it. So getting through the June crises time, another time is going to be around August, September, when Mars is in Gemini, aspecting the sun, and Saturn aspects it. The sun is our life force, and this is a critical time. And the sun rules the 12th house, considering the fact that he feels like he's lost everything. He, of course, hasn't. But you feel like it when Saturn's aspecting the sun. The sun is our physical life force. So I just wanted y'all to see how we can see certain things in astrology and see where things are coming from the past, but most of all where we're going in the future and how we can heal it. So the best to Tiger Woods. May he come through this strong, and may these experiences transform his life as they're meant to do and overcome this great difficulty. So with that, I think I'll close. So if you would like more information about me, if you would like to get a reading, or if you would like to sign up for my free newsletter, go to galacticcenter.org. And remember, you can check out my Patreon group where people are part of a spiritual community. We meet weekly live. And there's other advantages that you will get with being part of my Patreon group. Furthermore, the Galactic Planner, oh my God, if you don't have the Galactic Planner, it does exactly this, so that you'll know when to lay low, when to take a break, and when there's good times to take advantage of. Go to galacticplanner.com, and if you want to study with me and become my student, check out my university, University of Vedic Astrology.com. Thank you.